I'm staring at Mark. He's got his KU hat on. Oh, no, it's a Royals hat he's got on this morning. Sorry. It's 6:04. It's great to have you here on KCMO. I figured you'd have a KU hat on after they come back in dramatic fashion last night and beat TCU in overtime after they had a 1.4% chance to win the game with less than a minute left.
That was crazy.
Man, I've
never
to
seen
sleep
like that.
with TCU up by 15 points. I'm like, TCU's got this thing in the bag. Then I wake up and I'm like, wait, KU came back to win the game in OT? What's that all about?
That's when I put a $5 bet on KU to win, and I won $30.
Genius.
Let's go.
Let's go FanDuel.
Yes.
And we gave the folks a good recommendation at the end of the show yesterday. We put our two heads together. I said, Mark, let's go KU money line, parlayed, and I talked you into Darren Peterson over 20.5 points.
That's right.
And they both hit. So very well done. Crazy win last night for the Kansas Jayhawks, beating the TCU Horned Frogs at Allen Fieldhouse. And I couldn't believe what I woke up to this morning when I saw they came back to win. It was unbelievable. Now, speaking of big wins yesterday, I've got to hand it to Hilton Hotels. Hilton wrote the playbook in the last 48 hours for how to handle an online crisis. So there's a lot of misinformation out there on this story. But I want to jump into it here for a few minutes because I think it is so critically important to understand what happened with Hilton Hotels and how it was less than 2 days ago. The Department of Homeland Security really launched a coordinated campaign alleging that Hilton Hotels refused hotel rooms for ICE agents. They shared this screenshot, multiple screenshots, claiming that a Hampton Inn, which is owned by Hilton, outside of Minneapolis, canceled the reservation of ICE and other law enforcement agents up in that state. And what happens? Everybody was ready to Bud Light Hilton Hotels. But quickly it came out, and Hilton got ahead of this thing. Hilton came out and they said, hey, this is not us. It's a franchisee. This is not a corporate location. This is basically an individually owned and operated location that has had an employee that has gone rogue. And that's why yesterday I said, don't Bud Light Hilton. And I got some flack for it on social media. Some people were posting to me saying, what do you mean you're on Hilton's side? I said, well, let's talk the nuance of this. This was not done at the corporate level. This was done by a rogue employee at a franchise location of a Hilton hotel. That's very different, right? So Hilton got ahead of this. Less than 24 hours after the first post started circulating, Hilton got out there and removed the hotel from its system. They pulled this Hampton Inn in Lakeville, Minnesota, from its booking channels and website, effectively severing ties with the property. They had statements that were put out saying this was not our decision, this has nothing to do with us, and then they basically told the location, we're done with you. We're opting out of doing business with you. So that location now has to figure out who they're going to basically contract with from a hotel chain perspective. And here we are on a Wednesday morning, and the whole thing's over. It's done. It was a masterclass in handling an online crisis and controversy. And if you don't get ahead of it, these companies are scared of their own shadows. So many of them. Listen, we've all been in corporate America, and some places are better at handling this than others. But some of these places, and I've worked at multiple of them, they are afraid of their own shadows, and they've got to have 17 lawyers involved, and they're frozen by fear. And Hilton, they just got ahead of it. They did the opposite of that, John.
Where I don't want to work would be the Minnesota State Board of Tourism, right? Getting a lot of earned media, but it would go in the negative column.
There is not a lot of good coming out of Minnesota right now, okay? There really isn't.
It's a shame. It's a beautiful state.
I've actually never stepped foot in the state.
Oh, it's great.
I've heard they have beautiful lakes. You got to be up there the right time of year. I don't want to be up there in January, okay? I really have no interest in that. But I have heard it's a beautiful state.
You go up to Minnesota, like in the summer in July, it'll be 80. Oh, I'm melting, don't you know? And I'm like, yeah, right. I love it.
Is it a dry heat up there? Do they get that dry air? Or is it muggy?
I don't even call it heat. It's just their acclimation.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Of course, I would be lost in their snow, right? Yeah. So, it balances.
That cold, that snow, absolutely zero interest.
You got to watch out for mosquitoes up there.
Oh,
all the lakes.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the heads up there, fellas. It's not on my short list. To John's point, the tourism department in Minnesota is struggling right now. But between this Hilton drama and then, of course, you've got the daycare allegations and you have Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, stepping down 2 days ago. He has a press conference on Monday saying he's done, right? And then yesterday, he has a follow-up press conference where he does some Q&A. It was the strangest thing. He doesn't do Q&A after his press conference on Monday when he steps down as governor, or doesn't step down, but he announces he's not running for re-election as governor of Minnesota. Yesterday, he has a press conference. The day after, he has a press conference announcing he's not running for re-election. Try to explain that one. Well, then it made sense. Then once I heard him speak yesterday, I thought to myself, oh, I know what he's doing. He wanted to take questions yesterday because yesterday was January 6th. Yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of the Capitol riot. So Tim Walz gets asked, hey, was this your decision to leave or was this somebody else's decision to leave? Like, did the Democrats pressure you to not seek re-election as governor of Minnesota? And somehow Tim Walz starts talking about J6 yesterday. So while Hilton put on a masterclass of how to handle an online crisis, Tim Walz has done the antithesis of that. Tim Walz has handled his crisis as poorly as he possibly could. And to think that 14 months ago, this guy was potentially on the verge of being the vice president of the United States is just wild, man.
Governor, what decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you receive pressure from Democratic allies?
This is a decision that I make and make with my family. And certainly, I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it. We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us that are for a show of the cameras. I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election to try and overturn that and, report both sides of this. Well, he said he really didn't, and courts convicted 400 of them, and he pardoned them. No, he did that. He did that, and that's today. And it's clear that we also saw today he implemented 5 states are being punished with a freezing of federal funds illegally that were appropriated by Congress, our tax dollars.
Woo, man, that is quite a way to twist yourself into a pretzel if you're Tim Walz and you don't want to talk about your own drama and your own alleged scandals and the reason that you are actually stepping down or not seeking re-election in Minnesota as governor by saying, enough about me. Let's talk about J6. As we sit here on the 5-year anniversary, it's like, dude, you just, you were going right down the highway and you just veered right off onto the shoulder and smashed head on into the media. That's what Tim Walz just did with that commentary right there. That was absolutely brutal. But now it makes sense as to why he wanted to wait till yesterday to answer questions from the media so he could tie all this nonsense into what he wanted to talk about. And he looked horrible in this press conference yesterday. I'm not saying that to try to be mean or rude or anything like that, judgmental. He looked thin, unhealthy, worn down, tired. His hair was all out of place. I mean, whatever hair he's got left was out of place. He doesn't have a head of hair like John Anthony. He just didn't look good at all. I was like, whoa, Tim.
The way he described his cuisine out there on the campaign trail, I'm not sure there's much good eating there at the Walz.
Oh, yeah. Well, since you're an aficionado on Minnesota, what do they eat up there? What's their food of choice?
Fish, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Well, that'd be the Scandinavian thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Norwegian.
Yeah. All right. Well, Not really my
they
cup
eat
of
that
tea.
in the Dakota, say. Anyway. No, it's not something I've tried, but yeah.
Yeah, Tim was not looking good at all. He really wasn't. Now, for Hilton, once again, I'm a supporter of Hilton. So if you're coming to the Kansas City area, you've got family coming to the Kansas City area, after how they handled their drama out of Minneapolis, stay at a Hampton Inn. We got a DoubleTree down the street here that Mark stays at when he's snowed in, or we need someone to, make sure they're by the radio station. So we help out our friends at Hilton as best we can. And I would just say, with the way they handled their issues this week, I'm a bigger fan. I didn't really have an opinion on Hilton, but I'm a bigger fan of Hilton now, John.
When you see these headlines, ask yourself who, what, when, where, why. So when I got to where, and it said, wait a minute, what? I say, where? Minnesota. I'm like, okay, hang on here.
Yep.
Keep asking questions. Don't just end here.
No, don't. Don't.
Individual employee.
Stay with it. And in this case, you had a rogue employee, and Hilton, they just laid the hammer down on him. You're right about that. Coming up, 2 wild stories coming out of one of our area cities, and one is good and one is not so good. We'll tell you what they are coming up next. So I sent Mark on a fishing expedition for food in Minnesota, and he's been sending me links over the last few minutes for Minnesota's most iconic food. I guess they're big on bundt cakes up there. Huh.
Oh, yeah.
Love their bundt cakes. They love their basil wings. They love their Italian-American sausage sandwiches.
Hot dish is big up there.
Ah, okay.
It's like a casserole. We would call it casserole here.
I was going to say, some of these things, I'm like, is this a different country? It's just strange to me.
A lot of Norwegians up there.
Yeah. I have not spent really any time in the upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. I've spent no time there. I know it's beautiful in the summertime. But I have one memory of talking to someone who lived there. I was at the Dave Ramsey Radio Summit a few years back, and from the airport in Boston, we were driving out to Cape Cod, and it was Kate, myself, and then we had a couple in radio who were from Wisconsin. And, they were talking about their winters and how miserable they are. And they said, with the sun setting at 4 o'clock, you got 3-4 feet of snow piled up around you. They said basically everyone's like drinking by 4 in the afternoon. Sun goes down, you're drinking, you're eating. The days just kind of mold together. You don't know what day of the week it is. And they didn't seem upset about it.
They were used to it.
Yeah, they were kind of like, this is just how life is here in Wisconsin. Eat a lot of cheese and drink a lot of beer in the winter months, and you have some beautiful summer months from like July 4th to Labor Day, and then you start to hunker down again.
It's summer up there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You sell the motorcycle and you get the snowmobile.
Yeah.
It didn't like our buddy Ray Stevens.
It didn't sound like my cup of tea, but they seemed very happy with their life, and I was happy for them.
Gotta like snow, don't you know?
Yeah. I was like, man, this is not a part of the country I really know all that well, have ever been to, and really don't know a lot of people who have been there. And between the cuisine that I'm hearing from Minnesota and now just, thinking back to some of the people I've met and talked to over the years, it's a different world, man, in that upper Midwest.
I'm with you. I went up there and I was looking for, if you came here, you're going to eat barbecue, right? You say, hey, what's your cuisine or what's the famous thing? And I didn't find anything up there necessarily. I was looking for something that would be indigenous like that, but they didn't have any of those deals going.
Next time you go get the bundt cake.
Apparently,
that's their thing, man. Mm-hmm. That's their thing.
Like a bundt cake, like a runza.
There you go. All right, TCU had a 98.6% chance to beat Kansas last night at Allen Fieldhouse with 12 seconds left. KU ends up forcing overtime, and they win the game 104-100. I was watching this game last night. I turned it off with about 8 minutes left. It was about 10 o'clock. I'm like, I've got to go to bed. KU's going to lose this game. And I wake up this morning, and I start rubbing I'm like, wait, they won? KU won this game? What the heck happened last night, Mark?
You know what happened? About 3 minutes left in the game, Darren Peterson tapped out.
Yeah, I saw that.
They threw the ball, and he was just looking at the bench, went right over his head. And then he came back in with 5 seconds left to get fouled on a three-pointer to make 3 free throws to send it to overtime. It was crazy. And then he didn't play in overtime.
So he comes in, he taps out at about 2.5 minutes. Yeah. I saw that. Mm-hmm. And then he ends up coming back in with a few seconds left, takes a three-pointer, which would have tied the game, and instead gets fouled, hits all 3 free throws. They go to OT, and he doesn't play in OT.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he was cramping. It looked like he was cramping at least, so he got in there. They're like, all right, if he can just hit a three-pointer, we'll go to overtime, and then we'll get on with the rest of it. And he didn't hit the 3, but he got fouled.
And he made all 3 free throws, which is sometimes harder.
Yeah.
Under pressure. Mm-hmm. Wow. Unbelievable. I mean, I thought KU was done last night. I didn't stay up to finish the game. I was like, I'll just get some sleep. They're down 15 points with 8 minutes left.
Melvin Council Jr. turns into Michael Jordan whenever Darren Peterson goes out of the game. He just, balls out. I don't know what happens in his brain, but something switches on. Well,
I'll tell you what. Melvin Council should be getting some of Darren Peterson's NIL money, okay? He's been fantastic. And, by the way, this guy, Melvin Council, started his career at Wagner College in Staten Island, New York, where I called basketball games 10 years ago. So he was a small D1 AA school. Then he goes to St. Bonaventure. Now he's at KU, and he's playing some great basketball. So that's a fantastic success story. But it's also why the NCAA tournament is not going to have these Cinderella teams anymore. The days of a guy like Steph Curry staying at Davidson, Melvin Council staying at a Wagner or a St. Bonaventure, and then being that 12 seed that makes a huge run through the NCAA tournament. You know what I mean? Like those days are over because now these guys will go to play at KU, get the bag, make a ton of money, and help Kansas. So the little guy coming on strong and having that special March is going to continue to dwindle. And Melvin Council is a prime example of that. So what a game last night in Allen Fieldhouse. Now, on the not-so-good front in Lawrence, we found out more about the man who was killed at City Hall after breaking in. And where's he from?
Minnesota.
Allegedly, true. But it's the theme of the day, Minnesota, and more Minnesota. And it's even impacting us here in the Kansas City area. So new details shared yesterday in the ongoing investigation into the fatal shooting of a man at Lawrence City Hall on Monday. They identified the man as 28-year-old Omar Dominguez Gavilan from Buffalo, Minnesota, as the man killed by an on-duty court security officer. So this guy was traveling through Kansas on a Greyhound bus and taken off the bus on I-70 Sunday night because he was acting erratically. So Kansas Highway Patrol gets called. They take him off the bus. He's transported to the Amtrak station in Lawrence, but was never in contact with Lawrence Police Department. So I don't understand how that works. Like, this guy is acting erratically. They kick him off the bus. Kansas Highway Patrol takes him out, and then they just dump him at the Amtrak station? Like, there's no police intervention as to why he's acting erratically. I know you can't put him in jail if he didn't break the law, but this is clearly someone who is a danger to themselves and or others. And it sounds to me in reading the story like they take him off the bus and Kansas Highway Patrol just says, all right, here you are at the Amtrak station. Good luck to you, pal.
Yeah, it seems like that. I think he was in the area. It wasn't like he just wandered in Monday morning. He'd been here since Sunday at least, right? And I thought he was at one of the rest stops or someplace out on the highway at one point. But that may have been the original location for the bus stop.
So then on Monday, before 8 o'clock, he enters City Hall through a locked back door, goes up the stairwell to the 4th floor, breaks a window, and that's when he encounters an on-duty court security officer who encounters him, asks him to put his hands behind his back. He does not comply. Instead, he starts fighting the officer, and that's what led to the officer shooting this 28-year-old out of Minnesota, Omar Dominguez Gavilan. That is a bizarre story out of Lawrence, but it's also why you can't just dump these people off somewhere and hope they're going to figure it out. You just can't do it. Coming up, we have an update for you on the Chiefs drama, and I think there are legitimate questions here next. I'm glad my friends over on the TV side in Kansas City are also going to be doing a lot of digging and questioning about this Chiefs deal as we start 2026 here, and still there appear to be far more questions than there are answers. And I will give Channel 41 credit for the story yesterday. Chiefs move to Kansas raises real estate questions in Wyandotte County. Yeah, of course, as it should. So KSHB talked to some folks out there in Wyandotte County and wondering what the real estate impacts are, what the property tax issues might become, because Wyandotte County does have some of the highest property taxes in the entire state, doesn't get nearly enough attention for how bad the tax situation is in Wyandotte County, despite the fact that they are in many ways supposedly the home of the success of the Star Bond. With the soccer team and the Legends and the Speedway and everything else. They're supposedly, in many ways, ground zero for Star Bond success, yet they've got some of the highest taxes in the entire state. So if the idea of the Star Bond was to bring in business that would not otherwise be there to help the tax burden of the regular people, well, Wyandotte County is like the antithesis of that. And it's a fair point and a great point to bring up and talk about. Here was Channel 41 and their reporting yesterday.
They're still talking about it today, the people that had to move, you know.
Scott Harding lives in Wyandotte County. He has his eye on the new team moving in, the Kansas City Chiefs.
We thought Chiefs Stadium would be great, but then we did see the 33-page agreement, and that just blew us away.
Scott reached out to me with questions about that agreement between the Chiefs and the state. The deal outlines the preliminary Star Bond district plan. Star Bonds use new sales tax revenue to repay bonds used to build the district. One of the most well-known examples is the Kansas Speedway.
We haven't seen any benefits at all. It should lower taxes.
We met in front of the American Royal Development, a separate Star Bond project that's seen funding delays to build the facility.
I love the idea of just making a destination out of it.
That's realtor Bradley Brooker. Like Scott, he reached out to me about the stadium.
The buyer's just going to be at the beginning stages of their value of their property increasing.
He's selling a home in Edwardsville about a mile and a half from the Village West area. Bradley says nearby buyers and sellers stand to benefit from proximity to new development.
I think they're going to have an amazing area, and I can't see any reason why it wouldn't work like they think it's going to work.
But Scott can. That's why he's pushing for transparency from leaders. The new mayor told KSHB that no final agreements have been made locally. No matter what the outcome looks like, the bottom line is the same.
It's all about money.
Rachel Henderson, KSHB 41 News.
I like that guy, Scott. That's my kind of guy. Calls it like it is. It's all about money. We have not seen the benefits that they've claimed over the last 15, 20 years on our taxes or anything else. And then you've got the pretty boy realtor like, this is going to be great for everybody. Everybody's going to be so happy. And if you sell your home, you're going to make out like a bandit. Okay, yeah, and guess what? In the meantime, if you don't want to sell your home, if you like your house, if you like your property, if you like your neighborhood, your taxes will keep going up as they have gone up in Wyandotte County, because the evidence would suggest over the last 20 years that's exactly what has happened, and there's no reason to believe it will not continue to happen.
I think over the years, Wyandotte County has been known to be highly taxed. It's just that once they put in sandstone and developed the area and then started doing the Legends, you at least saw your tax dollars at work.
But you know what? Is it really at work? Do they really want that stuff?
What I'm saying was there was nothing there and there was still a high tax rate. You're like, what the hell are we paying for?
Well, that's fair.
So the effect there, becomes, oh, well, now at least I see something.
Well, I see something, but is it something I want to see?
Yes, to further your point, yes.
Is it something I want to see? Is it something I want to live near? Is this what we want? Is this how we want to develop Wyandotte County?
Yes. It's just a facade. Is it doing anything for you?
Is it doing anything for you? Is it bringing those tax rates down? And spare me the whole your property value is going up, so your taxes have to go up because the government is subsidizing all these great projects. I don't care about an unrealized gain. I just don't. Like, if you plan to live in your house for the next 10, 15, 20 years, do you really sit there and say, well, I'm paying more property taxes every year, but at least the value of my property is going up? And by the way, are you sure it's going up because there's a speedway down the street? Because there's an NFL stadium down the street? Are you sure that's why it's going up? I mean, we're trying to create a direct line of reasoning for why the property value is going up. Are you sure it's tied to these projects that the government has elected to subsidize? Or could it be going up anyway? Are the projects actually making it go up less? I don't know. I mean, look around Arrowhead Stadium. How do you think those people feel about their property taxes being, a stone's throw away from an NFL and Major League Baseball stadium? Not all that good. Drive around. Open your eyes. So I'm glad we've got regular folks asking the right questions and talking to the media about this. But saying, hey, your taxes are going up and unrealized gains are something we should all be excited about, you don't see the money unless you sell the house. So when I hear this realtor tell Channel 41, oh, this is great, if you're a seller, you're going to be making all this money. It's going to be fantastic. What if I don't plan to be a seller? What if I don't want to be a seller? What if I just like where I live? Anyone ever think of that? John in Topeka, what's going on, man?
Hey, good morning, Pete. My question is how many people are going to be forced to sell that didn't want to sell because they've got to put it somewhere, and somebody's going to have to do something, with their property. And if you got somebody like, this is my farm and I've been in a family for 100 years, or somebody's house has been there for 80 years. This is grandma's house and I love it, and they're being forced to sell. How many people is this going to affect like that?
That's a great question. Now, I don't know if the stadium itself would have, any direct impact on somebody like that. I would think that, and I think Keatsman did a great job on this the last few months, reporting that, the France family that owns the Speedway and owns a lot of land out there was at one point in conversation with the Chiefs on basically having that facility built on their land. They would obviously buy it from the France family that's big in NASCAR and owns the Speedway. So I'd like to think that no individual would get impacted. But to your point, when you talk about ingress, egress, where they're putting new roads, how they're fixing up the surrounding area, that's going to have to happen, which I think is more of your point. And I don't know what the impacts then are on regular people.
Yeah, because when you put in an influx of 100,000 people on a weekend, you've got to get them in and out, and with traffic patterns and stuff like that. And then to your point, also, they say the values of the property is going to go up in that area. Well, I already pay $250 a month to the county for my house in rent. So, and it's just been going up and up and up in value, and I don't plan on selling. So those people that are not wanting to move, that is getting jacked up on their property taxes because there's a stadium moved in, all of a sudden your house went from $200,000 to $450,000. You're paying that in taxes. That's going to push them out of their house.
Yeah. And I just don't believe this whole idea that, people and homeowners out there are magically going to see a major increase in their property values. I mean, maybe if you just own land, but like your average communities, your average homes, 3-bed, 2-bath kind of situation, I don't think anyone is going to see a massive uptick, but they will potentially, I think, see tax increases because someone's got to pay for these roads and someone's got to pay for the sewers and someone's got to pay for increased security and police officers and things like that. I mean, that stuff comes from the taxpayer, especially when the people in charge, the Chiefs themselves, aren't going to be on the hook for any of the taxes because basically they're renting out the facility and then they're going to put that money back in to basically fix up the joint. I mean, they're not even paying any real rent on the location, John, so it's a good call. Thanks for making it.
Yeah, have a good day.
You as well.
Nothing free unless you're the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, you're right. There's no free lunch. There's no free lunch unless you are a sports franchise.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think they did a thorough job acquiring homes from west of 435 on out to, say, the Ag Hall of Fame and where Sandstone is. So, but we're talking about a particular piece of land that's not necessarily been acquired yet. So if we move to another piece of land, all of this conversation starts again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mark in Independence, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, you've heard that song, Blowing in the Wind. You're exactly right. You drive around Arrowhead, see how it's negatively impacted the area, especially with all the parking in the yards. And look at the Adams Mark, blowing in the wind. Well, some of the windows are knocked out. You got curtains hanging out. It looks terrible. The other thing, they talk about this stuff, about the economy, like it's static, like nothing's going to change. But we've got AI on the horizon, too. How's that going to impact all of this? And then plus all the data centers and utilities going up with the increased regulations. There's just a lot of things that they're not incorporating into the big picture. We're all supposed to just, bow down and kiss the ring.
Yep.
I don't like that.
Yep, bow down and kiss it. And, kiss it twice while you're down there, Mark, okay?
I ain't kissing it the first time, buddy.
Oh, man. Well, was it John who once said to me, when I get down to tie my shoe, I tie the other one while I'm down
when
there?
you bend over to tie your shoe, you ask yourself if there's anything else you can do while you're down there.
Steve's in KCK. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Pete, I can guarantee you county taxes is going up. I can tell by not what the mayor said, but what our brand new mayor didn't say the other day, according to the news. When they asked her, was she for or against the stadium, she said no decisions have been made yet. She's going to wait to see what's good for the people. What she didn't say is the amount of county tax dollars is going to be zero. That should have been the answer. The amount from Wyandotte County taxpayers should be zero. That's the answer, Mayor. Zero. Thank you, Pete.
I love it, Steve. I love it. Hey, Crystal Watson's done a total 180. She's the new mayor of the unified government. She was at the press conference a couple of weeks ago in Topeka saying, welcome to Wyandotte County, Chief Suite. She just was going nuts. She was doing like her, I don't know what it was, Tim Walz Happy Hands celebration. And then she's been much more subdued over the last 2 weeks or so, saying nothing's finalized. We haven't decided what we're doing yet. This, that. It's like, whoa, that's someone who got some blowback locally. Keep it rolling there, Steve. Keep it rolling, brother. I've heard this on other radio stations in Kansas City, and I've heard it, of course, on TV news when they talk about Trump in Greenland. They all are using the same line. They'll say, Trump has not ruled out military action in Greenland. Well, first off, we've been following Trump for 10 years. That's negotiating in Trump's world, right? That's what he does. He throws out the wildest, craziest potential end result and says, well, I won't rule it out. That's what he does. The media runs with that to try to scare people into be like, are we going to war with Greenland? I mean, us going to war to take over Greenland is like the Chiefs showing up to Shawnee Mission East and being like, we're playing you guys in football today.
Right.
It's like, come on. That'd be comical. Be comical. But Trump says he won't rule it out because Trump, when he's negotiating, uses that as a leverage point to say everything's on the table. And that's the media headline with this Greenland deal. Trump won't rule out military action.
Schumer saying, I didn't receive any assurances. Yes, I'm like, exactly, bozo.
Oh, man. All right, let's go to Prairie Village. There's some monkey business, literally, in Prairie Village. Tony Skelton may get to keep her pet spider monkey in her Prairie Village home, but the permission to do so comes with a new set of rules that keeps the pet and its owners on a tighter leash. So, boy, if only the problems we all had in our cities were about pet monkeys, I'll tell you. On Monday, Prairie Village City Council voted to adopt a conditional license for Oakley Rain, a spider monkey. It sounds like a adult film star, Oakley Rain. A spider monkey that's recently been ushered into the spotlight as the Northeast Johnson County city considered changing its definition of dangerous wild animals to include all monkeys. Several neighbors, loved ones, and friends of Skelton, Oakley's owner, spoke during the meeting's public comment period, sharing that Oakley is not a threat but a sweet animal that deserves the same due process as other residents. Skelton has had Oakley for a little over a year now, obtaining the necessary pet license and rabies vaccination in accordance with the city's previous ordinance, which allowed for primates under 20 pounds to be kept as pets. The city took an opportunity to close that gap in its code after the monkey reportedly scratched a child while it was off-leash at a public playground. But Oakley did not break any skin. So that's what's led to some drama here with Oakley the monkey. I'm not a monkey guy. I think they're just absolutely disgusting and weird little creatures, but I'm on her side. All right? I will take Tony Skelton's side in Prairie Village. I will take Oakley Rain's side, and I will say the monkey should be allowed to live in peace and stay. She did what she had to do legally based on the rules of Prairie Village to keep the monkey and to have the monkey, and now they want to change the rules mid-monkey ownership. Not on my watch. That's the real monkey business around here. And that's all I've got on Oakley Rain this morning. That's it. 8:20, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Make sure you get out there and enjoy the last beautiful weather day we've got for Kansas City in early January. I mean, what a great start to the new year. Sign me up for this every single year. It was 1 year ago this week we got that foot of snow when Mark was driving me home because I couldn't get the car up the hill on my street. So that was 1 year ago, like 2 days ago.
Yeah, we had the ice first and then the snow on top of that. So it made for a double whammy.
That was a double whammy, man. That was brutal. I like this better. 62 degrees, sunshine coming in today. Let's go. All right, Travis Kelce dropped his New Heights podcast this morning. Does he want to continue to play football? Here's what he said.
I think, just being a regular human for a couple weeks, maybe a month or so, and trying to figure out what I'm going to do next in terms of my future in football. I think, I've talked to a few people in the facility already, having the exit meetings and everything. And they know where I stand, at least right now. And I think there's a lot of love for the game that's still there. And I don't think I'll ever lose that. I don't know. It's a tough thing to navigate, but at the same time, I think if my body can heal up and rest up, and I can feel confident that I can go out there and give it another 18, 20, 21 week run. I think I would do it in a heartbeat. So. I think right now it's just finding that answer.
All right. That's Travis Kelce. That sounds to me like a guy who is not 100% there, but closer than I thought he would be in early January. I thought we might get the old, man, my mind's fried, tough season, my body's tired, I don't know. We'll talk about this again in a couple of months. But instead it was, if I can do it, I want to do it. I got football left in me. Now, he's going to be 37 years old this October. So, listen, for a tight end, that's old, to be clear. And it's weird to say because I'm 37 and I don't feel old. But for a tight end, that's old.
And he set the record for 13,000 receiving yards, and they said the quickest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that the quickest?
Yeah. ... Well, I think he wants to do it.
Yeah.
But just like this Chief Stadium deal, devil's always in the details.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is he coming back on a team-friendly deal? They can't pay him $17 million again for a 37-year-old tight end. You just can't do that, John.
Now, and I remember as a fan, when my season tickets, Boomer Esiason retiring, John Elway, even Collinsworth, fans know that, and they'll give the guy a hand, as they come around on their last time. They kind of like to know that, and players announce that, and I can't see a guy of Kelce's caliber not announcing that and taking that farewell tour.
Yeah, I mean, they all do it now. Derek Jeter's done it, everyone else.
I was looking back at Jason Kelce, and he had the big post about he's coming back for one more year on March 13th before his last season. So early March probably is when we'll probably find out.
Well, that's when they got to do it, right? Because you're trying to figure out salary cap restrictions and free agency, so you can't just sit around and wait until May or June and, see how you're feeling come summertime.
My guess will be 1 year, $10 million deal for Travis Kelce with incentives up to $14 million.
That's fine. I'd do the incentives upwards of whatever. I mean, yeah, that's a fair team-friendly deal. If you can get that done, that's great. And it will really be because of the love of the game. I mean, he's married to he's going to be married to a billionaire. I don't want to say married yet. It's like Claire said to me last week. She's like, is this guy married yet? I'm like, does he have any kids? I'm like, no, Claire doesn't have kids, or he's not married yet. She's like, what's he waiting for? I'm like, you sound like Donna Kelce. Relax. Sound like his mother. I'm sure his mother's been nagging him about this for 10 years. When are you going to find a good woman and settle down? Well, he found one. He did okay on that front. All right, he did all right. But I agree. I think that sounds like a guy who is going to come back. I don't know if FanDuel's got odds on this yet, Mark. Maybe you can keep an eye on that.
I'll look at it.
See what you've got. But
he's coming back.
I would bet on him coming back. No doubt about it. Now, before we get to Patrick Tuohy, I saw this as well. Speaking of teams and moving around and things like that, the Oakland Athletics are going to Las Vegas, right? They're in the process of leaving. Well, they've left Oakland. They're staying in Sacramento for a couple more years. As a longtime New York City sports talk radio guy used to call it Sacra Tomato. is what he used to call Sacramento. I don't know why, but it was funny when I would hear it on the air. He'd call it Sacratomato. They're going to be there for 3 more years before they go to Vegas. Well, a group of fans have trolled their hometown team, the Oakland A's, by stealing the trademark of the Las Vegas A's. I kid you not.
As the A's were announcing Thursday they would play the next 3 seasons in Sacramento, the U.S. Patent and Trademarks website shows they were also applying for the trademarks to both the Sacramento A's and the Sacramento Athletics. But that website also shows back on March 6th, someone applied for the trademark Las Vegas Athletics, and it wasn't the A's.
We said, let's file for it. And so we filed a new one. It got accepted, and now it's in processing. So Last Dive Bar is hopefully within 5 months will be the owners of the Las Vegas Athletics.
You heard that correctly. A's fan group The Last Dive Bar, one of A's owner John Fisher's most vocal opponents, has applied for the trademark Las Vegas Athletics.
How does that happen? How do a group of fans end up stealing the trademark from the Las Vegas Athletics? That audio, by the way, from Channel 4 in the San Francisco Bay Area.
How did the owners not have that
years ago? I mean, that's literally
vintage cybercrime here.
That is what you do the day before you announce you're leaving for Las Vegas. You do all the trademarks before you leave. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And the A's are such an incompetent organization that they can't even get their trademarks. And it's been like, what, a year, 2 years since they announced they were leaving, and no one got the trademarks lined up? Man, this is an all-time troll job. And by the way, I love it. I love everything about this troll job, John. I am a huge fan. Wow. That's all time right there.